Raider Nation, Raider Nation, Raider Nation, Raider Nation. What is going on, everybody? What is going on? It is your boy Darian coming to you live with another video. It is the Spotlight Raiders Talk. Shout out to all the subscribers that have subscribed to the YouTube page. If this is your first time ever being at the YouTube page, we would suggest that you subscribe, hit the bell button, and get the latest videos and get the Raiders news and all Raiders news, y'all. But I wanted to give y'all this quick video just stating to y'all that shout out to Slumpbuster podcast for putting me on their show to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals and the Las Vegas Raiders wildcard matchup. So this will be that video. So make sure you hit the link in the description and subscribe to those guys, man. So make sure y'all check it out with the Slumpbuster podcast. And I was on there yesterday. Very great guys, man. Very, very good guys. So make sure y'all check out the video right now. Link is in the description. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel and subscribe to the Slumpbuster podcast as well. It's the Spotlight Raiders Talk. And I'll see you at the end of this video. Peace.
Welcome in, Slumpbusters. Welcome in, Houday Nation. Welcome in, Raiders Nation. It is time for a playoff game where one franchise is going to get its first playoff victory for the Raiders in close to 20 years here. For the Bengals, 30 years. So one team is going to finally break a very unfortunate streak. We have our guest today is going to be Darian Hopkins of the Spotlight Raiders Talk podcast, YouTube channel. Very great following there. Definitely representing the new Las Vegas Raiders. Darian, how is it going today, man?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm ready for finally some playoff football since 2016, even going back over to 2002. I'm excited, man. I'm excited, to finally get another shot at the Cincinnati Bengals again. It's going to be fun.
I guess that's a good place to start here. So the Bengals and the Raiders did play earlier this season with the Bengals getting the victory. What will be the biggest difference between that game and this game?
I think the difference when it comes to the Raiders team is that we couldn't run the football effectively in the first game that we played against Cincinnati. Josh Jacobs in the last 4 games been getting over 100 yards rushing. He did have 132 yards against a good Chargers defense, even though they're not great against the run, but they really don't have players that get like those type of yardage in the last couple of weeks. But our offensive line has been playing a little bit better when it comes to running the football. I just think running the football, and then our front four, we all know that Joe Burrow has been sacked a lot this year. With Yannick Ngakoue and Max Crosby, they gotta have a great game, but it's really going to turn down to our defensive tackles. Knowing that we lost Darius Fowler for the rest of the season, that really hurts. But it's really going to come down to what our defensive line could do, how we can run the football, because Derek Carr is not great throwing the football in the cold, and it's going to be cold as ever in Cincinnati. But in our back end, we just can't let up on 4th downs anymore, or we can't let up on 3rd down. So we just our defense got to get off the field.
Well, you mentioned the defense this year for the Raiders, which other than Derek Carr having a weird renaissance season was kind of shocking for me, because I thought the Raiders defense was going to be terrible this year. And lo and behold, they've been really good at pressuring the quarterback. Max Crosby having an all-pro level season. How does that kind of play into you guys getting into the playoffs in what most people would find as a pretty shocking run for the Raiders this year? It's been kind of built on that front 4 and built on that front 7 defensively.
It really has been, and Denzel Perryman has been one of those underrated linebackers that led the league in tackles majority of the weeks until he got hurt and missed like a game or 2. But I think he's still a Pro Bowler, being over here. What needs to happen is that we're going to have our corners, we have a Casey Hayward, and then we have, Brandon facing or rotating at that second spot, because Trayvon Mullen is no longer, he's on IR. So he probably won't see him the rest of the year. So it's really going to see how we match up against Jamar Chase. The last time we did match up against him, he only had 32 receiving yards. So we did a pretty good job. It's just that we killed ourselves with our own turnovers, penalties, anything of that nature. But with this front 4 in this defense, Gus Bradley has done a great job. I wasn't a big fan of him coming over, knowing that he gives up so many 4th quarter drives and overtimes. Seen it with the Chargers when he was there. But I mean, we're finding ways to get it done. It's not the prettiest, but we're finding ways to get it done on the defensive side.
You mentioned Derek Carr's name, and you mentioned his prowess in cold weather type scenarios. This is also his first playoff game. What is some expectations for Derek Carr heading into Cincinnati?
The expectation is, I think, is not as high. because it's going to be cold. So a lot of Raiders fans are going to say Derek Carr is going to have to lead the way. Yes, he's going to have to lead the way, but it's going to be below 20 degrees. You're going to have to manage him throwing the football. It's not like we're going to Philadelphia, where right now in Philadelphia it's 50 degrees. We're going to a Cincinnati, Ohio that's going to be almost in the single digits once the game kicks off. So you're really going to have to manage throwing the football even with him. You're going to have to run the rock with the running backs that we have with the Jalen Richard and Josh Jacobs. You're going to have to get them involved early, get it out of Derek Carr's hands, and then help open up the play action. You really don't want to manage him because, you know, we do so many different things on offense. Sometimes we run the same plays over and over that, but that's up to Greg Olsen's situation. But other than that, I just feel like we just need to manage him a little bit more because he's 0-5 in cold weather. And he can't be throwing the ball 40 times in cold weather. Just can't do that.
Well, how much do the injuries for Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller concern you? Because both of them are going to play, even if it's at like 70%, 80%. Obviously, Jacobs played in the winner go home game against the Chargers. So how much is that concerning, knowing what you think the game plan is going to be?
I'm really more concerned about Waller than I am Jacobs, because Jacobs has fought through a lot of injuries this year. It still came out and became the starter. And he didn't play his best, but he's playing these last 4 weeks. He's been playing injured with bad ribs and ankle and foot and everything else. And he's still averaging like 5 or 6 yards a carry in the last 4 weeks. And Josh Jacobs is just a dog. He's just a dog. And he's very effective in the passing game now. That's what the really thing that was his weakness coming into the league, that he couldn't catch the ball at the backfield. So he's definitely getting involved in the passing game as well. But Waller's my biggest issue because he's just coming off a knee injury, just having COVID. And he put out a statement not too long ago saying that he's still struggling, you know, with everything that's going on with him. He's still going to AA meetings. He's still doing his music and stuff like that. Sometimes when you're injured and you're off the field so long, you really don't have no other way to cope. You know what I'm saying? So me personally, I think Waller is my biggest issue because he did get off a little rush yesterday. I mean, not yesterday, but Sunday against the Chargers. But I mean, it's going to be time for him. He's just going to have to suck it up and just play this game as win or go home for us. And the same thing for the Bengals. But I think this is more important to us than it is for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Coming into the season, the big story for the Raiders was their revamped offensive line. And certainly you got a lot of young guys there. The Cincinnati Bengals, we talked about the Raiders pass rush, but the Cincinnati Bengals also have a very top-ranked pass rush unit. How is that offensive line going to hold up against Cincinnati?
Well, I can say this. I was very concerned about the offensive line, trading Gabe Jackson, trading Rodney Hudson to Arizona. And you know, Richie Incognito had that calf injury all year, which he haven't stepped on the field at all. We lost Denzel Good at the beginning of the year with a torn ACL. Tom Cable has did a phenomenal job. Yes, we have been very suspect about, you know, bringing in Alex Leatherwood, playing at right tackle. And once he went into being a right guard instead of a right tackle, is definitely something that I love, that I loved, honestly, because I wasn't a big fan of Alex Leatherwood. Any Raider Nation fan can tell you, if you watch Spotlight Raiders Talk, I thought that pick was a reach. So I thought that pick was a reach because I know he's a second rounder. He's not a first rounder type of offensive lineman, but I think moving him from outside to inside really helped him a lot, because in the last couple of weeks, he has not gotten penalties. He has not given up sacks. He only given up 1 pressure in the last 4 weeks. So he's definitely improving. Andre James, another improvement. We just have to shift around, but I think we keep that continuity from the last 4 weeks. And if we could do that, then we could pick up the blitzes with Jalen Richard and Max Protect, then that really helps Derek Carr.
Do you think you can explain to me how the hell Hunter Renfrow had 1,000 receiving yards this year? I don't understand how that's possible, because he looks like he's 38 years old and has 3 children.
Well, Hunter Renfrow, he's always been one of those underrated receivers, even coming out of Clemson. He shines in the biggest moment. That's one thing about Hunter Renfrow. The way he got his 1,000 yards is just the way his route running is. The guy has some of the best footwork in football, but he comes out of the slot position. But if you line him up on the outside, he might not run those 50-50 balls. He might not run those fades. But when it comes to the other routes, like up and outs or double move, he's really good for those double moves. And he's been doing this against some of the best corners that he played against. I mean, all of them wasn't the best corners, but when he did, he got a touchdown at least once in the whole 18 weeks. So Hunter Renfrow is just a gem that we got late in the later rounds, and it's showing. I just don't understand how he doesn't make the Pro Bowl. Almost 100 receptions this year, but he learns how to get open. He knows how to, work in separation, yards after the catch. He's just very smart on the football field.
One of those guys that could get open in a phone booth. All right, guys, let's get into predictions here. So Kyle, you have doubted both of these teams here, so I'm going to be very interested to see who you go with to win this playoff game. Who's going to break their unfortunate streak?
Yes, I have had a principle. I've used it for about 4 years, but it could apply going back 20 years. Is anytime you think the Raiders are good, they are not. The Raiders are not allowed to be good at football. This has been a principle that they have finally broken this year because I've doubted them like 5 weeks in a row, and now here they are, the 5 seed in the AFC. I don't understand how it happened, but here we are at this point. This game is the one that I find fascinating because how much matchups are going to dictate this. I think what the Bengals do offensively plays into some of the strengths of the Raiders defense. I know the Bengals obviously could also get T. Higgins involved, and the Raiders don't really have much of a second corner, as we talked about. So I think that's a problem for them. Joe Burrow, the last 2 weeks he's been healthy, picked apart poor secondaries, the obviously 500 against the Ravens, and then what they did against the Kansas City Chiefs. Is Joe Burrow healthy? I don't know. It's really complicated to figure out because he's got this knee problem that they rested him for last week. It's difficult to figure this one out. So this one is as close to a toss-up as I could find other than the Patriots and Bills game, in my opinion. But I am going to take the Cincinnati Bengals to break their streak of 30 years. This might be as good as it gets because Lamar Jackson's coming back next year in that division, but at the very least, the Bengals are one step closer to being against the Titans to go to the AFC Championship game.
All right, Darren, are you going to take that disrespect? Come on. You got to represent the Raider Nation here. The silver and black need you on this one.
I'm not going to take the disrespect, but I do have to say this, though. On the Spotlight Sports Network, we do a morning show. In the last 5 weeks, in the last 4 to 5 weeks, I have picked against my Raiders, and look what happened. I have picked against them. I'm not going to sit here and lie because I did not know 5 weeks ago that the Raiders would be sitting here in the playoffs. Who really had a clue? But I'm still going to pick my Raiders right now because I'm very confident. But if I'm going to go back on the morning show, I might be like, you know what? In the Pick'em League, I'm picking Cincinnati. But I am picking definitely picking the Las Vegas Raiders here. I just feel like the game got away from us the first time around. I think we know what we could get, what we're getting from Joe Burrow. We know what we're mixing. We know how dynamic Jamar Chase is. And I feel like this defense can really get to Joe Burrow. And I feel like their defensive line can get to Derek Carr, but it's really who do you want the ball in your hand in the fourth quarter and you're down 3 or you need a touchdown? Joe Burrow or Derek Carr? Derek Carr has 29 fourth quarter comebacks in his career. I'm going with the veteran in Derek Carr and the Las Vegas Raiders to win this game.
Quick yes or no, though, here. If Vespaccio gets this win, is he the Raiders coach next year?
On record, yes. On record, yes. He deserves that. I just feel if he does become the head coach, I think some coaches need to be changed because I think we like the oldest team in the league with coaches. We got a bunch of grandpas on the team. So I think we got to go a little bit younger as far as assistant coaches.
All right. And not to pile on the disrespect, but guys, I am going with the Cincinnati Bengals here. I've been riding on the Who Day Nation all this year, so I might as well stay consistent here. I was an early adopter on them. I've loved what I've seen with Joe Burrow. Obviously, I love repeating that stat, but to have a 4,000-yard passer, a 1,000-yard runner, and 2,000-yard wide receivers on the season is incredible. I think they have just phenomenal offensive pieces all across the board. I do expect, of course, Gus Bradley to do a decent job of containing them for the most part. Like you said, it's going to be a cold weather game. There's not going to be a lot of airing it out, but I do think the fact that Derek Carr is going to be limited by the weather is going to be one reason why I just can't pick the Raiders going on the road and winning in Cincinnati here. But anyway, guys, let us know below what you think in the comments. Drop below. Are you going with the Who Day Nation? Are you going with the Raiders Nation? We got to know officially. Thank you again for our guest. Go ahead and check him out once again. That is going to be the Spotlight Raiders Talk on YouTube. At Slumpbuster Pod for us. At Slumpbuster Podcast on IG. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. Juju Talk Sports got a lot better. We will see you next time.